this is one of those situations where it's like the tide has reached its maximum point. There was articles coming about talking about how basically every MCU character now, every male hero in the MCU has now been replaced by a female counterpart, which I just thought was fantastic. It's almost like I don't know if that article was done. Ironically or mocking this whole concept, but man, it's like they're almost there, like recognizing the problem that they've created for themselves, but they're not quite. But yeah, like when you look at them now, all the main Avengers now have a female version of themselves in the MCU. So
Thank
you
God.
had you've got female Thor, you've got female Iron Man, you've got female Hulk, you've got female Black Panther, you've got
female Black Widow.
Yeah, I'm not sure where they were going with that one.
Female Captain America.
Female Captain America, yeah. We've got whatever the fuck Ms. Marvel is meant to be. She's like a female version of.
Well, yeah, she's a
Captain
derivative
Marvel.
of Captain Marvel, who is a female Captain Marvel. So, it's POC. It's a POC, but it has to be a female after that. And remember, kids, that the MCU is not just turning every character into a woman. It's surrounding every male character with a minimum of 2 women. And most of the time it's 3. Go back and watch the last 5 movies. And anytime a straight male of any race, size or shape goes out on an adventure, he is surrounded by his crack team of women. And it's freaking hilarious and predictable. And there's some certainties in life, death, taxes, and things can only get so retarded. And we are at that point.
Taxes.
I mean, what would be next if they hadn't failed? Were they going to put all the men in like Carmen Miranda 6-inch heels? I mean,
yeah.
I mean,
Like,
what else are they going to
if
do?
there was no pushback, George, absolutely. We'd have the trans Avengers for sure.
But you saw Emily Blunt this week. She came out and she gave an interview and she was like, I'm done with the whole female lead. Anytime I read a script where it says strong female lead, she's like, I just roll my eyes. She goes, I'm bored.
Yeah. Well, if your defining character trait is just that you're strong, like you've not got a character. That's not a character trait. That's just like a generic boilerplate thing that you're supposed to tack onto every female character at this point. She's strong. Of course she's strong. What does strong even mean? Is she physically strong? Is she intellectually strong? Emotionally
And
strong?
strong from the beginning as well, from the outset. So there's no room for character growth of any kind. If it's Galadriel, or if it's the 19-year-old professor genius prodigy in Wakanda Forever, who's perfect in every way right at the outset.
Oh, we'll talk about that. Don't worry.
And all the best female characters across time. None of us fucking describe them or introduce them as, this one has a strong female character. That's why Aliens is good. It's got a strong female character. Nobody says that. It's like,
You know why that's like? I mean, that's technically a sexist statement in it of itself, because you're just insinuating that all the other women aren't strong. That's exactly what
that is an exception. Yeah.
But they were able to portray strong women for over 40 years before we hit the woke era without any problem. Whether, again, you have Ripley or you had any one of Luc Besson's films, La Femme Nikita. I mean, look at her. She came off great, strong female character, but you didn't have any of this agenda.
Yeah, I don't know how much of it comes down to like the sort of social media aspect of it, where they feel like they have to really hammer home that point. This character is strong. She's breaking glass ceilings. She's like defying boundaries. She's like subverting gender norms. It used to be that movies could just let the characters do the talking for themselves. Like what you saw and why you interpreted that was your understanding of the character. Now you have to be straight up told what to think about these characters. It's like too much exposure to too much stupidity backstage, because they don't trust you to form your own opinions about any of these characters, because they're not well written enough for them to actually do that.
No, and strong just means, well, you said it right there. It's subverting gender norms. That's the basis behind this. It's like strong means dude. They're just dudes now. Like that cover of Empire magazine with Galadriel sitting with her legs so she's gonna give birth to a Balrog.
She'll give birth to a baby, but it'll be clad in a suit of armor, just like her.
Will be, yeah. I mean, it's just like her.
I mean, it's everything. Even Wakanda Forever, Gary. I mean, look at it. It's supposed to be written by Ryan Coogler, right? And Cole. Except I feel like it comes across more like from the perspective of an estrogen-deprived woman looking for a hormone high by gaslighting the audience. I mean, it's like, who are they writing it for? Are they writing it for like celebrity sex dolls? I mean, seriously, there's nothing there that can grab an average audience member. Even normies are turning around now.
Well, I think this is the interesting thing about Wakanda Forever, because obviously you're following on from like one of the biggest success stories of the MCU, like Black Panther. Whatever its objective qualities as a piece of art, was a piece of marketing genius, because they managed to spin this to the point where if you didn't give this movie 11 out of 10, you were a fucking racist.
If you didn't give Disney money, you were a racist. And Disney made a lot of money off of white guilt, straight up. And you're right. Greatest marketing campaign I've ever seen.
Dude, that was a rocky intro for me with the internet in 2018, because I had just come off Star Wars and I was like, Black Panther wasn't very good. And then I think you can go back to the old EFAP episodes where I'm saying, like, I couldn't believe it. People started calling me racist, and Rags was like, you couldn't believe it? Like, really? And I was like, well, I didn't, yeah, because I wasn't as familiar back then with what would happen if you criticized
Sweet
Black
summer
Panther.
child.
Yeah. You were so young and so naive. But this is an interesting thing, right? Because I think it's going to be the same story with the Marvels, where what you had initially was a movie that had every fucking prop and every advantage going. You know, it played into identity politics. It played into a social movement that was going on at the time. It was coming off, it was right in the middle of a franchise that had unstoppable fucking momentum. Like, the people were so hyped for the end of the Infinity Saga. You could just have a movie that was a guy eating a bowl of cornflakes for 2 hours and people would have gone to watch it in their droves, as long as it had Marvel attached to it. That's how big it was at the time. But when you take all those advantages away, you don't have the race angle to play on quite so much now. You know, this movie does something completely different. You know, the momentum of the MCU is nothing like what it was 2 or 3 years ago when the original Black Panther came out, and you lose your star as well. What the hell do you have to go on? And the result is a movie that just doesn't grab people. I don't think it's capturing anything like that kind of momentum that Black Panther had back in the day.
No, but
My
you
big
hear a
question
lot of
when I was watching it is, who is the main character in this? There was about half a dozen characters who all seemed to be vying for it, and it basically came down to the idea of whoever is on screen at any given time during any given vignette of what we're watching is essentially the main character then, and then we flip to some different location and essentially there's another main character you're watching for 5 minutes. And so it had no core to it. It was stuffed with beautiful visuals and great aesthetics, and it had a lot going for it, but there was just no center to it. It was a very strange, surreal experience.
That's because it was two different movies sandwiched together. One was like a really poignant, heartfelt, tribute to Chadwick Boseman and a lamentation on loss and what grief and sadness and anger can do to a person. The other one was a generic boilerplate Marvel movie with like a forgettable villain, a big CGI heavy finale, lots of action, lots of explosions, lots of quippy humor. And so you've got those two movies. Instead of just rewriting it from the top down to give you a really cohesive story that dealt with the death of Chadwick, what you had was just a patch-up job that was put on top of an existing script. And you end up, like you say, with a movie that's unfocused and doesn't have a real heart to it. It's just a bunch of different ideas constantly vying for your attention. And you can't get into it, like, because there's not really anything to grapple with there. It's a compromised script. And I think it's really obvious the more you think about it.